learn about the increment and the decrement, the percentage increment and the percentage decrement. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the multiplication factors. Multiplication factors are the decimal and the fraction forms of percentage. Suppose any quantity increases by 10% or decreases by 10%, then what will be the new quantity? These types of questions we will discuss. For increment and the decrement, the original quantity will be, in percentage it will be 100%, and in fraction it will be 1, and in decimal it will also be 1. So any increment or decrement will be with respect to 1. 10% increment. First we will discuss increment and then we will discuss decrement. Increment. 10% increment. 10% increment means you have to increase the original quantity with 10%. 10% in the decimal form will be 0.1, because 10 divided by 100 will be 0.1. The original quantity is 1 and the 10% increment will be 1 plus 0.1, and it will be 1.1. The equivalent multiplication factor will be 1.1. In the same way, 20% increment. 20% in the decimal form will be 0.2, because 20 divided by 100 will be 0.2. And the multiplication factor, when any quantity increases by 20%, then its multiplication factor will be 1.2. 1 is the original quantity and the increment will be 20%, means 0.2. 1 plus 0.2 will be 1.2. 50% increment. 50% increment in the same sense will be 1.5 multiplication factor. 90% increment will be, multiplication factor will be 1.9. 100% increment. 100% increment will be, in the decimal form it will be 100 divided by 100 will be 1, and the original quantity is 1, therefore the multiplication factor will be 1 plus 1 will be 2. 200% increment, it means the decimal form will be 200 divided by 100 will be 2, and the original quantity is 1, so the multiplication factor will be 3, because 1 plus 2 is 3. Take an example. Suppose the price of petrol is 100 rupees. If price of petrol increases by 20%, what will be the new price of petrol? There are two methods. One is conventional method. Conventional method you will find it in the books. That is the conventional method that you should avoid in the competitive exams. The original quantity is 100. Here it is the price of petrol. Now you have to increase with it 20%. 20% of 100 will be what? 20%. 20% per मतलब divide and cent मतलब 100. 20% of किसका? 100. It will be 20 rupees. Now new price. New price will be, original price will be 100 and the increment will be 20 rupees, and it will be 120. If you have to avoid these calculations, you can do with my style. That is, here it is 100 rupees original. It has to be increased by 20%. When it is increased by 20%, you have to multiply it with 1.2, because 1 is the original quantity and 0.2 is the increment, that is 20%. Then it will 1.2 into 100, it will be 120. That you should do. It is the way to do in the decrement. Decrement will also be with respect to 1 in the decimal form. 10% decrement. 10% decrement means you have to decrease the quantity by 0.1. The original quantity is 1 minus 0.1 will be 0.9. Multiplication factor will be 0.9. 20% decrement. 20% decrement means you have to decrease the original quantity of 1 by 0.2. 1 minus 0.2 will be 0.8. And in the same way 0.50% means 1 minus 0.5 will be 0.5. 90% decrement means 1 minus 0.9 will be 0.1. And 100% decrement means 1 is the original quantity and the decrement will be 100 divided by 100 is 1. 1 minus 1 will be 0. Again, let's take an example. Let's clear with the example. Suppose you go to the shopping mall and you buy a pant or shirt. If the original price of suppose pant is 1000 rupees and the shopkeeper says you to there is a 20% of discount. Now what amount you have to pay for the pant? That is the real example of the percentage decrement. In the conventional method you will the original price is 1000 and you have to decrease it with 20%. Now you will calculate the 20% of 1000 will be 20% of 1000, that will be 200 rupees. Now the amount you have to pay for the pant will be original will be 1000 minus 200, that will be 800 rupees. And in the shorter sense you have to the original price was 1000, it has to be decreased by 20%. Yes, 20%. And it will be when it is decreased by 20% the multiplication factor will be 0.8, therefore it will be 0.8 into 1000. Therefore it is 8 ones are 8, 1 and 2, 800 rupees. Now take a question. A quantity 200 is increased by 75%, then what will be the new quantity? The original quantity is 200. It is increased by 75%. Now 75% of 200 will be 75% of 200. It will be 75 into 2. 75 into 2. It will be 150. The original quantity will be 200 and the increment will be 150. So the new quantity will be 200 will be original and increment will be 150, and it will be 200 and 150 will be 350. Now you can do it in another way of it is original quantity is 200, it will be increased by 75%. The new quantity will be when it is increased by 75%, therefore the multiplication factor will be 1.75. It will be 1.75 into 200. So the new quantity will be 2 zeros and 2 decimal places. It will be 175 into 2. It will be 5 to the 10, 7 to the 14, 15, 2 on the 2, 3. Here the answers are same. You can adopt this approach or this approach. Now take another example of the same concept. A quantity 300 when increased by some percentage, it becomes 360. Find out the percentage it has increased. एक क्वांटिटी है यहाँ पे 300, इसको हमने किसी परसेंटेज सपोज x परसेंटेज से इंक्रीज़ किया है और ये बन गई है 360. हमें ये परसेंटेज चेंज हमें निकालनी है. देखो जो नई वाली क्वांटिटी बनती है 360, it will be the original quantity into the multiplication factor. So multiplication यहाँ से multiplication factor आएगा 360 divided by 300 and it will be 6 6 are 36, 6 5 are 30. It will be 5 1s are 5 and 5 2s are 10, 1.2. So multiplication factor will be 1.2. When multiplication factor is 1.2, it means increment will be 20%, because I have told you to the 20% increment means 1.2 multiplication factor. Let us discuss some more questions. What is 20% of 30%? 20% of 30%. I have told you the 20% it means 0.2 and 30% means 0.3. So 20% of 30% is 0.2 into 0.3. It will be 32 are 6, 0.06. In percentage, it will be multiplied by 100. It will be 6%. So 20% of 30% will be 6%. What is the 20% of 30% of 40%? It will 20% will be 0.2, 30% will be 0.3 in decimal form, and 40% will be 0.4. It will be 3 2 are 6, 6 4 are 24, and the decimal point will be 1 2 and 3, 1 2 and 3. In the percentage form, it will be multiplied by 100 and it will be 2.4%. Therefore 20% of 30% of 40% will be 2.4%. Now I have mentioned here a note that x% of y% of a is equal to y% of x% of a. X% and y, these are the percentage, and a is any quantity. It can be 100, it can be 50, it can be 70, it can be 35. Suppose x is 10%, y is 20%, and a is the quantity. Suppose it is 100. So 10% of 20% of 100 will be 10% will be 0.1, 20% will be 0.2, and the quantity is 100. It will be 2 ones are 2, 1 plus 2 plus 0.02 into 100. It will be 1 2 places, 1 2 places, it will be 2. Y% of x% of a. Y I have taken as 20%, of x is 10%, and the quantity is 100. So it will be 20% will be 0.2, 10% will be 0.1, and quantity is 100. 2 ones are 2, decimal place will be after 2, and 100. It will be 2. So it has justified that x% of y% of a is y% of x% of a.